Today's recipe calls for some of your favorite fruit. I'm going to show you how to make super simple sheet tray pancakes. They come together really quick and they're very tasty, and I think they're better than traditional ones, so you'll have to be the judge. So with that said, let's get started. The first thing we need to do so we can make the easiest and most delicious breakfast is preheat the baking cube. Set the temp to 425 Fahrenheit or 218 Celsius. While that's becoming all hot and bothered, we can gather all of our toppings or fillings, just depends on how you look at it. Any Hoosiers, we'll be dividing the pancakes into 4 equal sections, so you have a lot of tough choices to make on what to use. I'm going with a section of dark chocolate chunks, another section of fresh blueberries, then some fresh strawberries in another part, and lastly, a plain quadrant. Frozen fruit would also work for this, and also don't be afraid to make some combo sections. For example, strawberry banana or raspberry and white chocolate. There are basically endless options. What's great about these is everyone gets their favorite pancake. This way you don't have to make a bunch of different batters to please everyone. Now that you've figured out what you want to use, prep your ingredients out for later. The only thing I need to do, besides washing all the fruit, is prep the strawberries. Of about 8 to 9 of the red berries, using a paring knife, cut the green top off of the strawberry. Do your best not to cut too much of the berry when you do this. A paring knife is perfect for this task because it's small, making it easier to control during the cutting process. A interesting fact that you may not know is that you can eat the green leaves of the strawberries. I think they taste bitter, so I don't bother eating them. Anyways, lay the bright red fruit on its side and then simply slice the top off. Another way to cut them is to pull the leaves off. Then lay the strawberry on its side and use the tip of your blade to follow the core around the strawberry. Don't push your blade too deep, that's why we only use the tip of it. When you make the little round cut, it'll pop out a little strawberry plug. This version is a little more precise with less waste, but it's a little tricky and takes a little more time. Choose what method works best for you and repeat the same step until everything has been taken care of. Now that you have topless strawberries, we need to cut them into slices. Place the goods on the flat tops. Using the tip of your paring knife, make fairly thin slices of fruit. Cut things into sections that are roughly 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick. Repeat the same slicing action until all the berries have been cut. Be aware the strawberries will stain a wooden cutting board. If you're not interested in that, use a different style board. Once cut, set that aside so we can move on to the next thing. Snag 4 tablespoons of room temp unsalted butter. To help speed up the process just a little bit faster, cut the butter into cubes. You can choose how to melt the butter. Toss it into a pan, then place it over a heat source to melt it that way, or you can huck that thing into a microwave like I did. If going this route, put it in a microwave safe container. When melting butter in a microwave, it's imperative that you only put it in for 10-second intervals at a time. Keep doing this until things are fully melted. Going any longer than that, you'll run the risk of the butter becoming too hot and exploding, making a huge mess in the microwave. It sucks to clean, trust me. It also helps if you put a paper towel over the container. This way, if it pops, you won't have a mess. Occasionally, take it out and give the butter chunks a stir to help them melt faster. Alright, now that you've accomplished that, let's put the dry ingredients together. Snag a large holding device and a fine mesh strainer. To that, add in 2 cups or 240 grams of all-purpose flour. Following that, drop in 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Sift those 2 ingredients together. Push through any clumps that were left behind. Make it hail half a teaspoon of coarse ground kosher salt. Whisk your face off to bring everything into one dry, dusty mess. Now onto the wet goods. In a large bowl, add a 1/4 cup or 50 grams of dark brown sugar. Following that, add in 2 tablespoons granulated sugar. Break up any clumps of brown sugar before we add the next ingredients, which is 2 large room temp eggs. It's best practice to crack the eggs in a separate container. This way, if we accidentally get any shells, we can easily pick them out. After the eggies are in the bowl, give it a good whisk. We're trying to slightly dissolve the sugar into the eggs. This will only take a minute or so, or until things do not look or feel gritty in texture. Once things are combined together, we'll add some more flavor. Pour in 1 tablespoon vanilla extract or any other liquid flavor you enjoy. Next, add 1¼ cup or 295 ml of milk of your choosing. This also needs to be room temperature. Give those things a quick mix. Finally, add your melted butter in. So, I made some rookie mistakes when I made this. I'm telling you so you can avoid them. I wasn't really paying attention, or I was just being impatient. Who really knows? Anyways, it's imperative that you use room temp ingredients. It's also important that the butter is fully melted before you add it to the bowl of other goods. The mistakes that I made was I ended up using butter that was not all the way melted, and I also used milk that was still a little cold. So when I combined those two things together, it caused the butter to re-solidify. I ended up with chunky liquid, which is easy to fix by rewarming everything to make the butter melt, but you run the risk of cooking the eggs when you do that, and you're having to waste time by doing an extra step. So when you see a recipe that calls for room temp ingredients, ensure that you're using room temp stuff. Also, when you add the melted butter to the bowl, make sure it's not too hot or it'll cook the eggs. Okay, enough nonsense, back to the task at hand. We need to combine the dry with the wet. I like to do this in 2 sets to ensure everything gets mixed in without overworking the batter too much. Add a few spoonfuls in, then give it a good whisk together until almost all the way mixed in. When you've done that, add the last half of the dry powder. Whisk your face off to combine it. When most of it has been whisked in, switch your mixing device to a rubber spatula. Now fold everything together, ensuring that you scrape and fold from the sides and bottom as well. We switch tools because we do not want to overwork our batter. Doing so will cause the gluten to activate, giving us a dense and tough end product. We want those light and fluffy pancakes. Also, do not mix your batter until smooth. That will cause it to be overworked. We're shooting for our batter consistency to have some little chunks throughout it. This is a good indication that the majority of the flour has been mixed into the wet, but most of all, it shows us that we'll have the perfect end product. Set that aside for at least 5 minutes to let things rest and to allow those little chunks to become hydrated as it hangs out. Alrighty then, while that's chilling, we can prep our pan. Snag a baking tray that has high lipped sides to it. Use a pan that is 9 by 13. Hook it up with a good long spray of some type of cooking grease. If you don't have any, a neutral tasting oil will work as well. Whatever you decide to use, grab a paper towel to grease the pan really well. Ensure you hit all 4 corners and the sides with the fat. We do not want any of the delicious goodness to stick to the pan. When you feel confident in your greasing work, pour the pancake batter into the tray. Scrape the bowl clean with a rubber spatula to get all of the batter out. It prevents us from wasting things, and it'll also make it easier to clean the bowl later. Lightly shimmy and shake the pan to spread the batter out into one even layer. Now onto the fun part. It's time to add all of our goods to the pancakes. When you're doing this, imagine 4 equal sections when you add the stuff, so we end up with even quadrants. Using a toothpick, push the goods into the batter. This way they aren't just on the top. The pancakes will rise when baked, but this will make them deeper into the final product. If you have any goods left over, hang on to them and use them as garnish for later. After you've decorated your pancakes, snag the pan of goods and huck that thing into the preheated oven box on the middle rack. Set a timer to bake these things for 12 to 15 minutes or until golden brown, and when lightly pressed on, it springs back. Or you can also check it with a cake tester. If it comes out with a little crumb on it, then you know it's done. Times may vary depending on how hot your little oven runs. When the buzzer rings, pull the sweet treat out of the heat and test it with either a cake tester or the push test. If things are good to go, place it on a wire rack to slightly cool down for a minute or 2. If you decided to do chocolate, sprinkle the melted top with some flaky sea salt for that extra level of tastiness. After it has cooled for a few, cut the pancakes into your desired size. Make a tower of square pancakes so you can try all the flavors at one time, or eat them with some Greek yogurt, or you can also eat them with that Canadian juice they call maple syrup. Whatever you decide to do, just enjoy. All right, now that our sheet pan pancakes are done, let's give them the old taste-a-roo. So looking at them, they came out super aesthetically pleasing. There's a ton of different colors going on for it from all those toppings that we added. Then we get that sweet golden brown color on top of our pancake. Overall, it looks super tasty. It looks like it's gonna be really soft and fluffy and just delicious because of all the goodies in there. So let's give it a shot. We're gonna try the plain one just as the base because everybody might add their own toppings. So we'll just go simple today. Looks super airy and fluffy, and there's a ton of holes in there. So that means it's gonna be real soft. So yeah. These things came out super dang tasty. Even for the plain ones, they have a ton of flavor going on for them. You get a super strong vanilla extract flavor. It's not overpowering by any means, it's just the right amount. Then we get a little bit of sweetness from both of our sugars in there. Then we get some richness and some fattiness from the butter and the egg yolks in there. The salt helps counterbalance that richness and the sweetness as well. The bottom and the edge got that hard caramelization on it, so it brings that super distinct flavor to the table and elevates them and makes them that much better. Texture-wise, they're super light, airy, and fluffy. They're almost like pillows you want to sleep on. It kind of reminds me of a cake because they're that soft. And of course, the edge that got that hard caramelization on it brings a little bit of crunch factor to the table, which I really like because it's sweet and just delicious. Overall, these things are just super dang good. These things are so easy to make, and they're way easier to make than the traditional style pancakes, which takes a ton of effort and way too much time. With these, you can feed your family or a ton of friends at one time, and you can make them any which way you want. Maybe get real bougie and put the chocolate with the strawberries, so it's almost like a chocolate covered strawberry pancake, or get rid of the chocolate and add banana, because banana and strawberries go well together. Or ditch all of that and add some protein powder to make super simple meal prep for breakfast. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching. And I'm pretty hungry right now, so I might just go crush all these pancakes at once. So we'll see you on the next one. Color from going on for the thing, the pan of stuff, turn off. And that fatness, the fatty boy. These you can easily feed a huge family or all your friends at what time? With these you can easily feed a giant, huge population of people. Perv dog.